I'm going to go over one of my trade setups that I like a lot, and that is a trend line break with a Fibonacci. It just pulls back 50% after it breaks out of the trend line, any trend line. And of course, keep in mind, some trend lines are better than others. But here's a 50% pullback of this move right here, for instance, from this move down here all the way up. 50. Now, a lot of times it comes right in the middle or even goes down here. But in this golden zone area, 50 to 62%, we're looking for a test and then a reversal. And the patterns can take various shapes when you do that. But keep in mind, the most important thing is how much am I willing to risk on this trade? If we're talking about real money here and we're getting away from the evaluations, we've got to manage risk differently than we did with the evals. So right here, I missed it, but I want to go over the other opportunities in this setup here because you see this trend line coming down right here. That was broken, had a 50% pullback right to the T2. There's another one there, right? And then we have this move right here that came back with this pintail right on the moving averages. That was another 50% pullback, right? So they're all over the place. It's a matter of how do I get in it, right? And with a risk amount in mind, you can pretty much try to catch the bottom on this, knowing that you're only going to risk a certain amount, and that's your stop loss, and that's how you get in the trade when it hits the 50% or 60%, right? So let's draw this one out right here real quick. The very first one that broke over top of the trend line. Okay, we see that right here. Let's take a look at it real close here. Okay, looking closer here, trend lines and Fibonacci's together. So what happened was the price broke out right here off of this trend line. Looking closer, right? It came back to 50%, in between 50 and 60% twice. Came back right here, and when it touched a second time and started to turn green, when it starts to turn green, that's where I feel like I want to enter the trade. When it starts to turn green, and my stop loss is under the lowest point of that test. Okay, so we see. Let's take a look at the second one here. All right, the second time. So if I enter here and my risk is here, then clearly that's a 3 to 4 to 1 return on that if I was able to hold it. Or even if I end up only breaking even, that's better than a loss and you're getting experience. Here's the second time. First candle turns red. Second candle starts to turn green in the golden zone. So let's take a look at that real quick. Where is the actual entry? Let's say I got in late even. My stop loss is below that pivot, right? Below this pivot here. And I get in, let's say I get in late way up here. I still got 2 to 1 on this green already. And you look at two micros risking $19. I'm risking $19 and I can make $40 on this quick little Fibonacci trend line break. Okay, this is what I want to do. Okay, now the one here's another. There's another one right here. I mean, depending on how you draw the trend lines, of course. But let's take a look at it closer again. Let's take a look at it. Here's a trend line break right here. I like these trend line breaks like this. You see all these pintails, right? So what I want to do is draw the Fibonacci even from the bottom down here all the way up to these pivots right here. Okay, so here's what it's looking like. Hope it's not too complicated. From this bottom here, all the way to this top here, pulls back right into the golden zone, right? Now this one, how would I have played this though? Because probably on the second pintail. So here's the pintail that turned down and came green, closed green. The second pintail came down here, never went past it. And the candle's not green. It just started to go up as a red candle. So it's a little bit different than having a red candle first and then it turns green. This was a green pintail, and then the other pintail came down, didn't quite come down. So as it's going up, it's the same concept of buying with a stop loss under here. Clearly a 2 to 1 on that minimum on that. So these are the kinds of trades I'm really want to trade. This is the kind of trade I'm looking for right now to get in. but I just have to wait for those kinds of setups. I'll be looking. Let's see what we got over here. What's going on? Here's a nice little trend line breakout. Another setup is a trend line breakout, red bar ignored, continuation, stop losses right underneath the red bar. But I don't trust it today because the overall day has been way too choppy and the breakouts have not been really going. So let's take a look at this Fibonacci pullback right here. If there is one, how high is it going to go and when's it going to pull back? So we'll keep an eye on that right now. So we don't know how high it's going to go, and it may just be extremely high before we get a pullback. So I'll let you know if this turns into anything. I will take it. Okay, while I'm waiting, I want to look at this failed Fibonacci on this move up right here. This big move up right here did not, when it came down to 50, 60%, what happened? Well, they're not always going to work, but it did bounce off the 50% mark, turned green and went up. It just would have been break even if I had gotten in that trade. Stop loss is always underneath the lowest pivot, so wherever you get in, the stop loss should be very, very low. Even if it fails, it's not a big loss, which is why I like this strategy. You're actually buying with the least amount of risk possible on the trade setup. You're not trying to buy breakouts with this particular trendline Fibonacci pullback strategy. You do have to, however, be able to stick to your very limited risk amount, not move your stop loss and not want to keep adding to it. You may lose 10 in a row, man. You may have 23, 25% win rate, but the ones that win just knock it out of the park because you're just buying it at such a ridiculously cheap risk. So here we are with that one. That one didn't work, and we're still waiting for this one to pull back right here. I just wanted to look at what we got, what we're dealing with here. So we are waiting for that to pull down into the 50% area, and I don't know what it's going to do. I mean, this is all practice, practice, practice. So I'm still waiting on that. Okay, here we are checking it out.
Order filled.
I'll try to get that with a stop loss right underneath and see if it hits my target up there or not. I got in late, so there is some risk to that. I want to see how much I'm risking here. If it comes to stop me out, that's perfectly fine. $24 for 2 micros. I only went one, so it's a $12 risk. All right. And if it doesn't hold, that's perfectly okay. But I like it. I like this setup. This is exactly what I was wanting. This is exactly what I was wanting. Like I said, when it starts to turn green, you can get, a lot of times you can get in late, and you know, that can hurt a little bit, but still I'm risking $12 on 1 micro for this test. Trendline break, 50% pullback. Let's see what happens here. And you can lose 10 times in a row and just get a nice home run. And it's not a high win rate strategy necessarily. So if you don't like losing little tiny losses, this one's probably not for you. But if you like minimum risk, this is a good strategy. Minimum risk, where you're not losing very much, at least 3 to 4 return on it, because you're risking such a little amount that, you know, the risk on it.
Target filled.
Okay, so I was already long in that. I just want to demonstrate. It did hit. Did I or did I not hit 1-to-1? Maybe I didn't hit 1-to-1 on that. But the point is, waiting for a trend line break, waiting for 50% pullback, and looking for, this was what I would call a 3 candle, which can be tricky. Got in here hoping that it would continue to go up on that kind of bounce, or at least get 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 before it comes back down. And then we say the second one, this is, if I missed that opportunity right here, the next opportunity would be to wait for this pintail to come even lower. Look at double bottom, literally get in with just 2 or 3 tick risk. I mean, that's the best. Get in right there, you know, 2 handle risk, and you're got your 4-to-1, 5-to-1 return on that kind of risk. So I just want to demonstrate it. Got in on this candle. Probably would have got in this candle anyway. I would like to have gotten in on that candle lower, but I didn't. So this is the strategy: Fibonacci trendline break. One of the ways I like to trade. It's one of my favorite ways to trade with real money, trying to have very protected risk. All right, we'll see you on the next video. Take care. Peace.